So now we've completed the eyes and the top part of the head. Let's take a look at the nose. So here's my finished drawing, top left hand corner. And one of the reasons that I've chose this reference photo as a pet portrait example is because I wanted to show you how to create that slightly blurred effect. Now we get that with photography when we're using a shallow depth of field. And what it's doing and what I wanted to show you is by blurring out elements even slightly, we can really attract the attention to the sharp areas. So what I've done deliberately is blur out the nose on my drawing, and that's where I'm showing you how I'm doing that now. I'm just blocking in at the moment. The whole idea was all my details, my sharpest focus details, are in the eyes. So the effect I wanted was for the person viewing the artwork to be able to look at it and immediately look into the eyes of the dog. And I'm doing that by not making the nose distracting in any way. I haven't got any sharp focal details on the nose whatsoever. Now the way to get that effect is that there must be no sharp edges on the nose. Okay, even the highlight has not got a sharp edge on there. The black of the nostrils, as you'll see me when I'm drawing it, because I'm going to do a lot of real time on this, is going to have a slight blur to it. Nothing at all will be perfectly sharp. And you can see when I'm using my pencils, and this is a Carbothello brown pencil, it's my brownest rich pencil, I'm using small circular motions. Now that means that I'm getting a good amount of pastel going into the paper. And remember, to get a nice smooth effect with the pastels, you need to build the layers so you're filling the tooth of the paper up. Remember, this is pastel matte paper, so that's giving me all the benefits of being able to layer and the benefits of being able to get it nice and smooth as well. So I'm building those layers up, I'm building colors into it. The little circular motions it's almost like I'm blending at the same time. I'm checking out my colors. Even though you can have color swatches, you're always still making small adjustments when you're actually putting it onto your paper, onto the artwork. So I'm taking things really slow. You see my pencil is not super sharp, no need for it to be. Everything here needs to be soft, just a slight softness to it. I'll be coming back in later on and adding more details to the eyes and the face to even enhance this effect to a higher degree. You can see that little highlight towards the right of my pencil there. I've just got a little white dot on there to remind me not to put any dark color in that area. I need it to be pure, I need it to be bright and white to create the highlight that I want. So you see, small circular motions. I went around the nostrils because they need to be really black, and if I put my brown in the nostril area, then I'm not going to get a real nice dark black in there. So I've left that area and reserving that. Only the blackest of my pencils will go in there. As you can see, I'm working my way down, going nice and slowly. Every now and again, when I bring the pencil off the paper, I'll rotate it a bit to stop me getting a flat edge on there. You see, I just rotated it. Always look out for these. I try to mention as many tips as I possibly can on my videos. Lots of things are quite automatic to me now when I'm doing it, but I do still remember when I was beginning in pastels. So I'm trying to point out as many things as I possibly can in this pet portrait video. Up here I'm using a dark grey. Once again, the small circular motions. Almost like a blending effect happening. I don't want a hard, sharp edge. You see, I'm just going lightly over that edge to create a slight blur. And with pastels, we've got the benefit I'll be able to put a lighter tone on top of this. At the moment, it's still looking a little bit gritty and grainy. I still need to add more layers to create that smooth effect. It's not magic, it's just practice and experience and building things up slowly. So that's the base colors down. I can use my finger or a small stump now to just smooth things in. You can see how everything is softening. Use a stump, a soft stump. Once again, those little circular motions, making everything fuzzy edged and blending things together slightly. Okay, I think that's just about it. You can see how it's all looking a bit out of focus and blurred. That's a good underlayer. Pastel mat will take numerous layers, so I can start building on this. Now I'm going to start refining. So I'm thinking about more accurate colors, more accurate tones, very lightly going on top of everything. And as I'm adding more and more layers, everything is starting to look smoother and softer. Now a lot of beginners don't add enough layers, and what they end up with is that rough, grainy looking effect. Now by adding more layers, as I said, and as you're seeing, it's getting much smoother. With pastel, we've got that fantastic benefit of being able to easily create the ultimate in softness in an area where the colors and the tones can blend beautifully from one into another, as soft or as hard as you want it to be. You see, gradually getting more refined, gradually getting more accurate. Now I haven't put the black nostrils in yet, reason being it's quite a small portrait and I'm blending still with my fingers and my pencils, and if I got something really black in there and I'm moving around with my fingers, I could easily quite smudge that black into other areas. So it makes sense to leave the black nostrils until I've got a lot of this blended brown and grey in place. Now the darkest black of the pencils is really the Caran d'Ache black. Now I'm not a massive fan of Caran d'Ache pencils. I find them too soft. If you've seen my YouTube video where I actually bought the whole set of them, there was quite a few defective pencils in there, and I ended up sending the whole set back. Other people like them. All I can do is say what my experience was, and I showed that on the video. But even still, there's a few pencils that I purchased separately that I really like. The black, because it is super black as far as pencils go anyway. There's new pastels, and pastel sticks still go much blacker than this. The white is very white, a really rich white, so I've got one of those. I've got a couple of browns in there as well, and just 2 or 3 flesh colours. Other than that, I usually prefer the Carbothello and the Pitt pencils. So you can see that's the nostrils going in. Doesn't look very realistic yet because I've got a lot of softening to do. I've got the highlights and the greys to put in. This is still a lot of underwork, but you can see I'm already starting to soften the edges. Nothing can be perfectly sharp on the nose for the effect to work. There's always got to be some sort of blur in there. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong. Hope to see you there soon. Now I'm using a stick again. Remember what I said about those browns, those rich browns? You can't get them from the pencils. That's why I'm using my sticks. Now you could use really soft sticks if you wanted. If you're using really soft ones like Unison or Sennelier are quite soft as well. If you're using something like that, you need to be quite careful when you're doing it if you're going to be putting detail on top. So if I was going to be putting really sharp marks on top of this, I'd be making sure that I'm rubbing it in quite well. Otherwise there's a lot of pastel sitting on the surface, and what you'll find then is your pencils won't go on top easily. But I'm not after detail with the nose, quite the opposite. I'm after subtle colour and tonal changes, so I'm not worried about putting a bit too much down. But even so, I'm always working on the side of caution with pastels. It's better to have too little on the surface that you can build up than too much. So you can see that's much darker, much richer now than it was just a minute or so ago. And then coming in with my finger again, we've got these wonderful pastel tools in our hands, all different sizes, and the little finger is working just well. It's the right size for doing this nose. Now I'm coming back in, re-establishing the blacks where they may have got muddied a bit, getting the shape a bit more accurate and making sure we've got some nice soft edges on there. Now things will start to come alive. I'm starting to put in the highlights, not too light yet, but you can see this is really already giving shape and form to the nose. Remember, I'm shooting at an angle with the camera, so it all looks a little bit twisted as you're looking at it on screen, but I'm showing you that technique. But in real life it's quite balanced both sides. But this is a time to be careful, accurate, and to start really refining everything. We've got the major colours down, major tones down. See, it's all the little adjustments now, but that's what's going to make it look real. And this is quite a bluey looking grey. All add into that effect. See, really light pressure. And now starting to work lighter and lighter, and that's what I generally do when I'm working with pastels more often than not. We go in probably with a middle tone color, then we're working on the darks and then the lights at the end, because we don't want to be muddy in the lights if we can help it. And now working even lighter still. More of a dappled look as the light is catching the top of the nose. Just gentle touch with my finger then, that's just slightly softening it all the time. This highlight on the side, that needs to be quite light on one area, but there's also a lot of blue and softness in it as well. So it's not just a pure white dot. And that's just about it for the nose part itself. Just add a few more highlights, just brightening it up. And what I'll do now, I'll start to work around the muzzle and get all that quite accurate. And then I'll come back in and really detail up a bit more of the nose. Obviously, as I said, no sharp edges, but I still want to adjust some colors and tones to make it look, you know, really realistic. And that's best done when you've got areas around there already done as well. So now I just pop that bright highlight on the side, quite hard pressure, and then I'm ready to start working on the other areas.